said about him. And
Yeah, something happened at the White House. I don't know if you've seen this. If you have been following this channel, you realize I've been updating you on this visit. Bima took up a decision. I think I watched a video 4 days ago. He instructed his producers to compile all the insult Trump has been pouring on him the past years, and he went with it. Trump signed it. Yeah, that is it. You are that. It was funny to a certain level. It is important we take an exclusive look into what is going on.
What was maybe a moment that stood out, something that you feel free to share, where maybe like Maher's reaction or something? I mean, you said he was nervous when he came in. He had the drink that hopefully settled him down a little bit. I'm not sure if he's allowed to smoke weed in the White House. I know he talks a lot about that, although some people have, according to reports. But in all seriousness, was there a moment where you saw a connection that you didn't expect?
Oh, the whole dinner. The whole dinner, the tour around the White House. It was, I mean, the president was so engaged with Bill. You know, usually Dana are very good friends with him. So, you know, when we're in the room, he's usually pretty engaged with us. And he was so engaged with Bill the whole dinner. Me and Dana just kind of sat back and enjoyed the show. And our minds were both blown that, you know, how gracious the president was to have him there, number one. I mean, that's a big deal to have him there, to reach out and say, to let me reach out and say, hey, can I bring this guy to dinner? And he's like, yeah, let's try it. Let's try it. I mean, and he was just engaged with him the whole time. There was nothing negative. And Bill was really funny, too. He loosened up. He was great. You know, he had some funny jokes. It just couldn't have gone better. I was really happy, very surprised, but...
If you keep this up, you might be the next, you know, Middle East and European envoy to bring peace. Or maybe you can bring in the ladies of The View. That might be a fun moment, too. That would be pretty entertaining for sure.
Can you imagine that?
I don't think they would be able to contain themselves. I really don't. They'd lose it in front of them.
Trump is that good to handle situations like this. Just imagine, like, someone that has been criticizing you for years, and suddenly the person just bound in with series of insult. Because I believe before Trump insult Maher is because of what he says about him every single time, and Trump will react immediately when he put out ridiculous segment about him.
did a home-cooked meal help Trump and Maher heal? Last night, Kid Rock brought Bill Maher, Dana White, and Donald Trump together for a dinner at the White House. No cameras at dinner, but I bet it went so well, and they talked about a lot of things.
It went so well. We talked about a lot of things that we had in common, which Bill Maher is a big, supporter of Trump's stance on the border, of ending wokeism. We broke bread and talked about things we had in common, and it could not have been more cordial, more nice. I think everyone was so pleasantly surprised. Everyone was a little suspect about it. Even the president had called me a few days ago. He goes, "What the hell you got me doing here?" And I'm like, "We're just trying to break bread with some of our biggest critics and say, like, hey, it's okay to talk to one another."
Wow. This makes me feel like maybe I should break bread with The View. On second thought, they just eat it all.
You end up being the bread.
Yeah. Great things happened last night. It was a lot of fun, but what do you think really went down?
I think it got a little dirty.
Yeah.
I think it got a little nasty, and I think that's the way everybody liked it. By all accounts, it was incredibly cordial, and we talked about this a little bit on the 5. That's kind of how politics should be. I mean, that's kind of how it used to be. Because when we were growing up, we had family members or parents, friends, and they didn't necessarily see eye to eye, but they would break bread, and then they'd break each other's balls over it.
Right.
They wouldn't cancel each other and disinvite them to Thanksgiving and pretend they never existed. And that's why we're in the state that we're in, where people feel like their only recourse, since they can't have a conversation, is burning Teslas.
Yeah.
So yes, you have to get back to the point where you graciously invite people over. And, the president didn't have to do that. And I was very happy that Bill Maher responded in kind. And I want him to give an honest assessment of what it was like. And if his pants were charmed off of him, I hope there's no photographic evidence.
And another side of it is we need to stop with, like, oh, he's going to be a Republican. He's not going to change his belief system. That's the whole point of what he's going through right now with the activist side. He's going to still be who he was, but he can say, like, hey, I'll have dinner with him again. Or I now, instead of using his TV show to yell out his issues, he can literally reach out and call him and probably get an interview with him now and sit down and discuss things. And then that's how you heal. That's how people move on. And so you want to see more of that. But I got to be honest with you. If you go to The View, you're going alone. I'm not going alone.
He's friends with, or was friends with Obama. I think he still is. Bill Maher. He's friends with Biden and a lot of Democratic presidents. They never invited him to the White House and to sit down in the Oval Office. They showed him the Gettysburg Address. They showed him the private residence in the Lincoln bedroom. Nobody else did that for him. So I think this is a good step in the right direction to have open dialogue anytime.
That is the truth. That is how politics should be. I'm really not in support with people, going off on him for doing this. This is how it's supposed to be. Yeah, to me. Someone said, oh, you know that someone is a snake, you are still bringing him in, things like that. It is crazy. You should be able to allow people like this. Maybe they can change their minds. Yeah, that is just my thought. If you remember how this happened, I think I did a full analysis of the whole situation on a video I posted a few hours ago. I'm going to re-show you some videos about it, how this started. For people who never saw it, I will replay. But if you watch that segment, even what Trump tweeted about the whole situation, I'm going to show you.
All right, tell us what happened from start to finish in 30 seconds.
In 30 seconds, I went on Bill's show, I went on his podcast, and I said, man, nothing happens if people don't break bread together and meet face to face. He's been one of the president's hardest critics, and we came to dinner, me, Bill, Dana White, and it could not have been better. Everyone was so surprised, so pleasant. The most shocking thing to me was, Bill's obviously a very big liberal, been very hard on the president, but he's donated a lot of money to other politicians. You've had Biden, Clinton, Obama, everybody. He had never been to the White House, and the president was so gracious. He took us up to the private residence. We saw the Gettysburg Address in the Lincoln bedroom, and I was like, you've never been here, Bill? And I was like, how about this? President Trump, extending this olive branch, and we talked about things we had in common.
When you take a look at this, Maher has just been invited to the White House just 3 days ago. He was attacking Trump supporters for what he called Trump devotion syndrome. It is a slap in the face to the millions of Trump supporters who are devoted to their country, to be mocked by this radical leftist who is going to be validated by an Oval Office visit. I'm actually very pissed off about it, especially since I have to now spend my own money and time this week traveling to California for a live video depositions of Maher, who I'm suing for defamations after he falsely accused me of having airs with President Trump. I'm sticking up for myself and on the truth. You can allow the left to bully you with their lies and character as.
And the new rule to those on the right who keep asking me, Bill, you're so good at roasting the woke nonsense peddlers. Why don't you go all the way and join us? Let me give you the short answer. Because I don't want to live in North Korea. Well, Republicans, that's you now.
Back with the Nightcap crew, Rich Edson, Jeff Paul, Caroline Sunshine, Christina Pascucci, Siaka Massaquoi, and Julian Epstein. Tonight's topic, keep your friends close. Bill Maher made a living off criticizing Trump, yet the president still inviting him to the White House. Good strategy, bad strategy. Julian, your thoughts?
Not going to lie, I'm a huge Bill Maher fan. In fact, if I were funnier, I would be Bill Maher. What I think most people don't understand is these two gentlemen have a lot in common. They both call things exactly as they see them. And people like that, gentlemen like that, tend to be open to one another.
Yeah. Siaka.
Yeah, I love what Trump does. He'll sit down with these people, bring him into the fold a little bit. His personality is going to just cool Bill Maher off a little bit. I like it.
Yeah. Jeff Paul.
You know, we talk so much about people not communicating, you know, when they don't agree on something. And this is a perfect example of two people who don't agree about a lot, but on some stuff getting together. And I hope it's televised.
Yeah, right. Wouldn't that be kind of fun? The dinner, Caroline.
Oh, I only wish that the White House live streamed and broadcast it. Yeah, right? I think it would have gotten millions of views. I think Bill Maher knows that he has a lot of independents and disaffected Democrats in his audience that voted for President Trump. So I think it was smart of Trump to extend the invite, smart of Maher to accept, and it would have been made for TV.
Yeah. Christina.
You know, they might agree on more than they realize when they sit down. It'll be really interesting to hear what comes out of it. But also, I mean, Governor Newsom here in California, he's been doing the podcast where he's been speaking to people who have wildly different views. And everyone, look at your face. You're like, why did you have to bring it back, guy?
No. How two disagreeing adults should engage with each other. And Chrissy says, if Trump can talk to Putin, he can certainly talk to Maher. Marud says, absolutely, we're never going to move forward unless people from opposing parties start actually talking to each other. Rich Edson, I forgot you.
You know what? Just like Jeff said, mic them up, put them on camera. They're both entertainers. Maybe Bill leaves with a job offer. Who knows?
Yeah, Kate says, I think it's a strength to keep your options open when people can change their minds. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, something is going on. Conservatives are not happy. When you take a look at this, some says Maher make a lot of money criticizing Trump. Even after announcing that he will visit the White House, he didn't stop. Laura Loomer went off on social media about it. Extremely concerning. I've seen a lot of videos concerning this. Trump sent this out yesterday. I got a call from a very good guy and friend of mine, Kid Rock, asking me whether or not it would be possible for me to meet in the White House with Maher, a man who has been unjustifiably critical of anything or anyone Trump. I really didn't like the idea much, and I don't like it much now, but thought it would be interesting. The problem is, no matter how much he likes your favorite president, he will publicly proclaim what a terrible guy I am, etc. Very much like the Democrat at my recent address to the joint sessions of Congress, where I stated correctly that no matter what I said or did, they will not stand, they won't applaud, they will smile, they won't even smile or laugh, and certainly they won't be in any way nice. Who knows, though maybe I will be proven wrong in any event. I'm doing a favor to a friend. I look forward to meeting with Maher, Kid Rock, and I believe even the legendary Danny White will be present.
I'm actually going to try to unite this country, and I'm starting at the end of the month. I'm taking Bill Maher to the White House for dinner.
Thank you guys who is with the sharing out my videos. God bless you abundantly. For clips, if you see that is just for the YouTube algorithm, I usually add, you can end here if you want.
About emergency management, and they don't care about free speech.
Dribble his genius.
Fired as host of this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner. The Correspondents Association president, Eugene Daniels, said the decision was made to take the focus off the politics of division and concentrate on honoring outstanding journalists.
The Trump administration is not scoring any points in international diplomacy these days. Duh. For one thing, he's shipping J.D. Vance up.
It looks like the Trump administration isn't exactly getting the hero's welcome.
The fact that the Americans finally realized what the reality was, namely that if they had come here to Nuuk as planned tomorrow, they would have been met with riots.
This is a Fox News alert, a crushing blow for Democrats who had hoped against hope.
Brad Schimmel, that has included Elon Musk pouring tens of millions of dollars.
I think you saw a repudiation of the fact that...
I do think the Republican takeaways tonight are going to...
The margin right now, Randy Fine in the lead with 53.7% of the vote against.
My problem is more with these Democrats